Now we go for the next principle, which is the principle of periodization. Actually, the adhering to the principle of specificity, training programs are also often arranged in time periods according for the specific adaptation that is sought. For example, a competitive long distance runner may spend a portion of their yearly training time concentrating on running longer distances to improve their maximal aerobic capacity and endurance, and another portion of their training time running shorter distances at higher intensity to improve their speed. So, within this principle of periodization, the training programs are generally arranged according to the different type of what we call different time periods, where there are macro cycle, there are mesocycle, and also microcycle. So we will go one by one. What is macrocycle? What is mesocycle? And what is microcycle? Macrocycle is actually an overall time period that begins at the onset of training and includes the time leading up to a specific athletic goal. Okay, for example, an important competition. So, for an athlete seeking to peak at the annual national championship, the microcycle may be a calendar a year, and this a microcycle may be longer. For example, 4 years for an athlete to concentrate on the Olympics, or maybe it can be shorter. For example, 6 months for a distance runner training for a specific springtime marathon. So it depending upon the specific competitive goals of the athlete. So that is macrocycle. Under microcycle, they have mesocycle. So this mesocycle is a macrocycle that is subdivided into time frame that called mesocycle. So each having a specific training purpose. As with the microcycle, so this mesocycle, they may be of varying length of time and it depends on the athlete's goal, but typically weeks or months in duration. The competitive distance runner, for example, may have a mesocycle that focus on improving aerobic capacity and endurance, and another mesocycle that they want to concentrate in terms of to improve the speed. I will show you the example after this. Okay. Then after that, okay, they have another one where each is microcycle. So each mesocycle pula, that is made up of the repeated time intervals called microcycles. So these microcycles are often designed to coincide with the weekly calendar, but it can vary from the standard 7 day a week and dependent upon the athlete's specific needs. Weekly training mileage for the competitive distance runner is another example, is an example of the microcycle. So give an example, for example, a distance runner or a spring time marathon, okay, they need at least 1 year to train themselves. And then at that microcycle, they have the mesocycles. So these mesocycles is actually, they are subdivided of the macrocycle where they are focusing from one time to one time, a week or a month in duration. For example, for the first month, they want to focus on the aerobic capacity endurance, and then for the following months they will just want to concentrate on improving speed and etc. So this is a cycle, the example of the microcycle for the running marathon where they have a 1 year plan actually. So for the week 0 and week 16 or on the first 4 months, they just want to concentrate on the what we call as a base cycle, mesocycle base cycle. And for this time, they will use a lot of what we call as a aerobic element. Banyak tenaga yang digunakan, but they just have a 10% of an aerobic, and also the strength training is about 20%. And the following 4 months, they concentrate pula on the what we call as a preparation cycle weeks, where during this time also the element of aerobic element is quite high, it's about 60%, and it increase in terms of the strength training. But towards nak dekat-dekat what we call a running marathon tu, then they will slowly down in terms of the aerobic element. It is slow down 40% where they have to keep the energy. They don't want to push banyak sangat training. They want to keep energy, so they will increase in terms of the anaerobic pula. Dari segi dia nak tengok dari segi speed pula, speed element, and also the strength training will be just the same as the first 4 months. So this is what we call as the principle of periodization. Last, the number 1 and the number 6, the last one is the principle of disuse. Okay. So just as the body adapts positively in response to training stress, it can adapt negatively, or what we call as a atrophy. So atrophy is if stress is insufficient or absent. Atrophy is actually a wasting or decrease in organ or tissue size. Gradual erosion of physiological capacity over time is often observed in individuals as a result of sedentary lifestyles. So, athletes who have improved function through running can experience the loss of function, either intentionally or for short periods, for example, resting during the off-season, or unintentionally due to the force of inactivity from injury. And this is the physiological equivalent of the aphorism, use it or lose it. So this is the principle of disuse. So again, as I mentioned just now, okay, there are about 6 that you have to remember. The important to understand the basic training principle. Well, number 1 is the principle of progressive overload, and followed by the principle of individuality, the principle of specificity, the principle of hard and easy, the principle of periodization, and the last one is the principle of disuse. Actually, in addition to a training plan, itu adalah training plan tadi. Now, athlete also needs a nutrition plan. This is a very important part. We as a nutritionist or dietitians, we want to look at how important is we need to plan a nutrition for the athletes. Tadi kita tengok dari segi orang kata the principle of periodization. Okay. So training periodization involves changing in terms of the intensity. I show you just now. For the first 4 months, they use a lot of aerobic capacity, but towards the end of the competition, they will reduce the energy system that use aerobic, or what we call as the use of oxygen. So again, when we look at this changing in the intensity and also the volume and specificity of training to achieve a specific goals. So it is imperative that a parallel nutrition plan need to be developed to support the various training cycle. This plan may be referred to as a nutrition periodization. Just now kita ada the principle of periodization. So yang ini pula kita akan concentrate on the nutrition periodization. So the nutrition plan should match the training plan. Dalam arti kata lain, when we have the training plan from the coach, then kita kena matchkan with our nutrition plan. So if the training macro cycle is 1 year, then the athlete should also have an annual nutrition plan. And each mesocycle will have specific nutrition goal as well. For example, weight loss by an endurance athlete is usually planned to take place during a recovery period, or what we call an off-season, and early in the preparation period. So a restricted calorie diet can be avoided during the high volume training periods or during the competitive season. So during each microcycle, the refinement are made to dietary intake. Okay. So this figure is simply illustrate the concept of having a nutrition plan that matches the demands imposed by various training periods. Okay. In this example of a male collegiate 800 meters runner, the plan covers a year. Okay, that is what we call as a macro cycle. That is starting from December and through the October. Okay. Okay. Starting September and when school begins through the following August. Okay. So sorry, from the September to following the August. Okay. So the training and nutrition goals of each mesocycle is vary. Kalau you tengok, each mesocycle is vary. This is macrocycle. Then for the each mesocycle is vary. During the early months of the preparation period, this is the preparation period, which is September through October. The primary focus is on anaerobic training. This one, anaerobic training. And this athlete also wants to decrease. And these also want to decrease about 5 pounds of body weight. So 5 pounds is equivalent to, for example, like 11 kilograms. Okay, 11 kilograms. Okay, so they have to, this athlete have to decrease about 11 kilogram of body fat that has been gained during the summer. The energy and carbohydrate intake must be sufficient to support training, but energy intake must be reduced from baseline. Okay, here you can see here from baseline they have to reduce, okay, so that some of the energy needed is provided from the stored fat. The second part here, prior to season, the second part, you can look from here. The preparation period is from November to January. Okay, that focus on maintaining aerobic fitness and increasing strength and power and technique. And this athlete also want to increase the muscle mass by around 7 to 11 kilogram. And the volume of training is increased and is equally divided between aerobic, for example running, and anaerobic, for example high repetition lifting and plyometric exercise. Okay, what is plyometric exercise? I will explain after this. Okay. The proper energy, carbohydrate, protein and fat intakes are needed to support both his training as well as the body composition goals. Okay, that was prior to season. During the pre-competition period from February to April, most of the training takes place on the track. Okay? The training is approximately 40% anaerobic and 60% aerobic. So the weightlifting is decreased because the goal is to maintain the gain muscles rather than continue to increase the muscle mass. So there is emphasis on plyometric training and alternating schedule like Monday, Wednesday and Friday feature. Had workouts, whereas Tuesday and Thursday involve easy recovery runs and as the athlete prepares for competition on Saturday. During the competitive season, May through mid-June, more emphasis is placed on anaerobic training, 75%, and less on aerobic training, 25%. So almost of the training is on the track and the athlete does no weightlifting. Friday is a rest and travel day in preparation for racing on Saturday. A new period begins on the competitive season ends and the school year is complete. For about 3 weeks, mid to June to early July, the athlete does no training in an effort to recuperate mentally and physically from the rigorous months of training and competition. Through most of July and August, the focus is on moderate duration, low intensity running.